and welcome to the first ever virtual Family Day here at the Northeast Georgia History Center. I am Marie Walker and I am the Director of Education here, and it is my delight to welcome you virtually to this Family Day. So today we're looking at a really interesting topic, which is old Hollywood. We're going to have some crafts, we're going to talk about cartoons, Mickey Mouse, some other really famous people you've probably heard of or might not have heard of. So how does a virtual Family Day work? Well, we will be releasing videos on the hour every hour until 5 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, we will have a live trivia game about movies in Georgia. All the videos will be available at a later time and date. So don't worry about, you don't have to watch them live. The only thing that will be live is the trivia game at 5. And you can win a digital membership to the Northeast Georgia History Center if you win the trivia game, so be sure to play. So what is Old Hollywood? Old Hollywood, also referred to as the Golden Age of Hollywood or Classic Hollywood, is a time period generally defined as 1915 to 1960. It was a period of great growth, experimentation, and change in the industry that brought international attention to Hollywood and the American way of making movies. The actors that starred in these movies were idolized around the world. The American movie industry was centered in Hollywood, Los Angeles, and California. The climate and location of Hollywood was an ideal place for outdoor filming, and by the 1920s, 85% of American movie production was made in or around Hollywood. Most of the movies were made by the Big Five studios, and you still may recognize some of their names: MGM, Paramount, Warner Brothers, and RKO, as well as Fox. Some smaller studios were Universal, Columbia Pictures, and United Artists. And those three were known as the Little Three studios, that, unlike the Big Five, did not own their own theater chains. The Big Five companies worked in what was called the studio system, which evolved in Hollywood and was essentially about long-term contracts for movie stars that prevented them from being poached by rival studios. But everyone was under contract: producers, directors, actors, writers, cinematographers, art directors, technicians, etc. All casting was typecasting. Lead actors were groomed and promoted by this star system, and more concerned with camera presence than actual acting ability. To quote, "A star is made, created, carefully and cold-bloodedly built up from nothing," said Louis B. Mayer, head of MGM. "All I have ever looked for was a face. If someone looked good to me, I'd have him tested. If a person looked good on film, if he photographed well, we could do the rest." Star making could include changing an actor's name, coaching the actor in direction, posture, horseback riding, dancing, singing, fencing, and more. Physical enhancement with makeup, hairstyling, hair replacement, fitness training, and most Hollywood affixes, cosmetic surgery. These stars had tremendous social power. Whatever they wore, whatever they said, whatever they ate was emulated by an adoring public. With the introduction of movies with sound in the late 1920s, Hollywood producers turned out westerns, musicals, romantic dramas, horror films, and documentaries. Studio movie stars were even more idolized once people could hear them talk, and Hollywood increased its reputation in the land of influence and fame. By the 1930s, at the height of Hollywood's golden age, the movie industry was one of the largest businesses in the United States. Even in the depths of the Great Depression, movies were a weekly escape for many people who loved trading their struggles for a fictional, often dazzling world, if only for a couple hours. The studio system ended in 1948 with the U.S. Supreme Court decision, United States versus Paramount, which banned block booking and ordered the studios to divest themselves of all theaters' holdings. Production at the Big Five studios would try to press on as usual, but the loss of their guaranteed revenue streams fade out for classic Hollywood. Theaters wanted winners, and studios couldn't afford losers. But losers there were, and lost with them was the affordability of contract directors, actors, writers, cinematographers, and eventually one studio. We never heard of RKO today. Accelerating the fade-out was television. Had there been no Supreme Court decision, block booking would have gone extinct, competing with television. By 1958, A-budget movies found television stiff competition. Hiya folks, I'm going to tell you about the cartoon that made Mickey America's Mouse on November 18th, 1928, which became Mickey Mouse's birthday. Steamboat Willie, the animated short, premiered. This was the first cartoon to have synchronized sound, or sound that relates to what is actually happening on the screen. The cartoon is actually a parody, loosely based on Steamboat Bill Jr., a silent movie starring Buster Keaton that was released the same year. During the early years, Mickey was drawn by noted animator Ub Iwerks. As you watch the cartoon, you may notice that there are many repetitive motions. This is in part due to the fact that the cartoon you are witnessing was drawn by hand, and one sequence, once completed, would be wanted to use again. Mickey is often joined by his girlfriend, Minnie Mouse, who first appeared by his side during Steamboat Willie. Now, in early cartoons, Minnie is traditionally depicted as a starving musician, a singer, and songwriter. So Steamboat Willie was scheduled to be the opening for a feature-length film and was given an initial modest run at the Colony Theater in New York. But audience and critics went wild for this playful mouse and for the premiere of the first cartoon with synchronized sound. 2 weeks later, Steamboat Willie was re-released at the Roxy, also in New York. And that is the largest theater in the world at the time. It made silent animation obsolete, and it launched the Disney empire.